Se ci spengete la musichetta possiamo iniziare. Grazie. Benissimo.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We have quite a high percentage of shareholders represented here. It is 10 a.m. and pursuant to Article 11.2 of the bylaws, I will act as chair for this general meeting, and I declare the general meeting duly convened. I would like to invite Mr. Marchetti to serve as secretary and to provide the audience the information necessary to declare the meeting open. During this general meeting, we have adopted an electronic voting system through a televoter to streamline the voting process. If there are technical problems using the televoter, then we will resort to voting by raise of hands. I would like to share with you some info illustrating how the televoter works. And I think there is a video. The interpreters don't have the
del
video
sistema di
in the
radiovotazione.
booth,
Questo è lo strumento che oggi
they cannot
utilizzerete per
translate.
esprimere la
But
vostra
anyway,
preferenza. Il vostro radiocomando è stato personalizzato tramite una chip card che non deve mai essere estratta. Premendo il tasto Info può essere visualizzato il numero di azioni e quindi di voti associati al vostro radiocomando. All'apertura della votazione, il display evidenzierà il numero della votazione stessa e il messaggio votazione aperta. Da questo momento in poi potrete esprimere la vostra preferenza premendo uno dei 3 tasti superiori. Potete modificare la scelta appena effettuata premendo un tasto differente. Infatti soltanto dopo aver confermato con il tasto OK il vostro voto verrà registrato in maniera definitiva e sul display del radiocomando apparirà il messaggio voto registrato. Quando verrà chiusa la fase di votazione, tutte le preferenze raccolte verranno elaborate e il risultato sarà calcolato automaticamente. Vi ringraziamo per la vostra attenzione. Per ulteriori informazioni potete rivolgervi al personale presente in sala.
Well, so those who have voting rights will use the televoter. You have 3 buttons in favor, against or abstained. Those who do not vote will be considered as non-voting members. You have 1 minute available to vote, and if there are proxies, each one of the televoter will indicate the proxies, of course. And for any technical problem, you can turn to the staff servicing the meeting. Meeting notice was published in full on the website of the company and as an abstract on Sole 24 Ore and Financial Times. With the following agenda: approval of the financial statement for the year, allocation of profits, termination by agreement of the appointment of the current external auditors, and appointment of the new firm to act as external auditors of the company's accounts for the period 2017-2025, the appointment of an alternate auditor, as well as on a consultative basis, the Section 1 of the compensation report dealing with compensation policy. These are the items on the agenda. In addition to the chairman, we have the CEO, Mr. Paolo Gallo, Mr. Hyun He, director, and Paola Maria Petrone. Auditors are represented by Giampiero Balducci and the 2 statutory auditors, Gian Domenico Genta and Laura Zanetti. The following directors: Nicola Bedin, Barra Borbor, Maurizio Mainelli, Cinzia Farise and Paolo Mosa are absent and have justified their absence. We have shareholders' equity accounting for 98 million of shares. 579,529,098 shares are attending the meeting, 71.3%. Pursuant to Article 13 of the personal data protection regulations, we will ask for personal data in compliance with the law. Data will be included in the minutes of the meeting and could be widespread also abroad outside the EU in compliance with the privacy law. The list of people having voting rights or proxies is available to the attendees. If you leave before voting, then communication will be included in the meeting. Before voting, we will indicate the number of voters as recommended by Consub. Analysts and the press can follow the general meeting. We have a chairman office with Alessio Minutili, who will work as secretary with the help of Francesca Chiariello. There is an audio, video equipment. Recording is available on the website of the company, if everyone agreed, based on Article number 4 of the General Assembly. It is not allowed to use any recording equipment, with the exception of the equipment we just mentioned. And no photos are allowed. There is also a translation service from Italian into English through headphones. Based on Article 7, intervention request can be submitted to the chairman office when the general meeting is convened and up to the opening of the discussion on the agenda. And the maximum intervention time is 5 minutes for each item, so that everyone will be able to express remarks. And also, we won't continue working for a very long time period. So after the debate, only voting declarations are allowed. 2 minutes. Based on the indications provided by the chairman. If amendments are submitted to the proposals by the board, then this amendment, the proposal by the board will be voted, and then possible amendments. If the chairman decides to put motions for resolutions to the vote, then there will be a voting session for that. And if the proposal to be voted is rejected, there will be a subsequent voting. I would like to inform you that as far as this meeting is concerned, it will be convened based on the laws and regulations in force. I declare the annual general meeting duly convened to discuss and debate about the items on the agenda. So there were no additional resolution proposals, and I would like to inform you that based on the circumstances the company is aware of, we verified the entitlement to vote by the attendees. And then there has also been a request to communicate the existence of a possible shareholders agreement. So we did not receive any communication here too, and so I declare the meeting open based on the shareholders book on April 27, 2017. 2017, shareholders having over 3% of the total of shareholders with voting rights are the following: CDP 27.76%, SNAM 13%, Lazar 7.28%, Romano Minozzi 4.168%. The company is aware of the shareholders' agreement between CPT Reti, CPT Gas, and SNAM SPA, and having as object that these shareholder agreements rules the voting procedure, the establishment of an advisory committee, the ways and also how to submit a slate to appoint board members of the company. The shareholders' agreement has been published in the website of the company. As far as questions by the attendees are concerned, answers will be provided at the end of all the questions submitted concerning the items on the agenda. And the different proposals on the items of the agenda will be voted separately. I would like also to inform you that we received also questions before the general meeting, and they are available to all attendees. I would also like to inform you that the Board of Directors selected John Georgeson through Monica Centella as the subject appointed by the company pursuant to Article 135, to whom shareholders and bondholders may confer proxies for the meeting. But Georgeson did not receive any proxies. So before debating the items on the agenda, I would like to inform you that the proposals by the board were submitted at the headquarters of the company, Consob, and the Italian Stock Exchange, on the website of the company, as well as to all those who requested it. You have been given a folder with the reports, the annual report 2016, remuneration report, corporate governance report, and the report on ownership as well as on sustainability for the year 2016. I would like to invite you to debate item 1 and 2 on the agenda together. I would like to know whether you agree, so we can debate the items 1 and 2 on the agenda. That is a financial statement up to December 31, 2016, consolidated financial statement, board reports, and auditory boards and reports, and any other consequent and relevant resolutions. So the consolidated financial statements, the reports of the auditors, and the proposals of the board have been submitted to the headquarters of the company, to the Italian Stock Exchange, and on the website of the company. It was also sent to all those who required it. Based EY worked for 170 hours to review the financial statement, 490 hours for the consolidated balance sheets, including the review of the consolidated financial statement for Italgas for 120 hours, and 370 hours concerning the auditing procedure on the financial statement of the gas distribution sector. To begin with, I would like to read the letter to shareholders and stakeholders. Dear shareholders and stakeholders, 2016 was a very important year for Italgas. On 7 November 2016, after 30 years of absence, Italgas marked its return to the Italian stock market and was quoted on the FTSE MIB of the Italian Stock Exchange. The new listing process followed a complex path that led to equity investments in operating companies focused on the gas distribution business being transferred from the previous parent company SNAM to a new autonomous entity incorporated under the name Italgas S.p.A. Considering the specific nature of their business and the various opportunities for development that emerged in their respective market environments, SNAM and Italgas opted for a spin-off solution to strengthen both companies and create more value for its shareholders and stakeholders. The group that was formed as a result now includes Italgas Reti, formerly Italgas, controlled directly by Italgas S.p.A., Napoletana Gas, and ACAM Gas, controlled through Italgas Reti. Among the companies not included in the scope of consolidation, it is worth mentioning the 48.08% equity stake in Toscana Energia, a leading company in gas distribution in Tuscany, as well as the 50% stake in Metano Sant'Angelo Lodigiano and 45% in Umbria Distribuzione Gas. The Italian group, including its subsidiaries, manages a network spanning more than 60,000 kilometers and over 7.5 million gas delivered points across 1,582 concessions, and has a market share of about 34% in gas distribution in terms of delivery points. With its renewed structure and increased focus on the objectives of its development strategy, Italgas sees industry tenders as an opportunity to grow and consolidate the market, operating efficiency as the key to maintaining leadership in terms of profitability, significant investment as a means to continue to modernize the network and introduce important technological innovations, and the injection of new resources and the internal reorganization of its people and the strength and expertise necessary to carry out the ambitious project. Italgas plans to carry out some of the largest investments in the industrial Italian landscape, with around 2 billion by the end of 2020, based on the current management perimeter. In addition to staff growth, Italgas also anticipates net investments of 1.3 billion euros for the acquisition of new concessions. The last few months of 2016 have seen significant changes and developments on the Italian and international economic, political and social landscape. Since its fresh start on November 7, 2016, re-entering the market, Italgas immediately confronted complex and changing situations that affect the context in which it operates and the perception and response of the market. In November, the Fitch rating agency assigned a BBB+ stable outlook to Italgas S.p.A., while Moody's Investor Service assigned the final rating of Baa1 for long-term credit, also with a stable outlook. Following the approval of medium-long-term bond issues voted in the Board of Directors in October 2016, Italgas marked its debut on the bond market by issuing bonds totaling 2.150 billion euros on 19 January 2017, broken down as follows: 1.5 million euros divided into two tranches, the first 5 years and the second 10 years, both at a fixed rate amounting to 750 million euro each of 0.50%, and 1.625% of the annual coupon, respectively. 650 million issued on March 14, 2017, with a maturity of March 14, 2024, and an annual fixed rate coupon of 1.125%. Moreover, in December 2016, Italgas achieved financing from the European Investment Bank for 300 million euros for a term of 16 years. The transaction, earmarked to finance the installation of new smart meters in particular, is the largest scheduled by the utility segment in Italy from the EIB this year. The consolidated profit and loss sheet for the year ended December 2016 had an impact on the non-recurrent additional costs. Excluding these costs, the consolidated economic performance of the last 2 months of 2016 show an adjusted operating profit and an adjusted net income of 22 and 30 million euros, respectively. The pro forma consolidated economic performance, on the other hand, posted an adjusted operating profit of 359 million euros and an adjusted net profit of 221 million euros. The board of directors intends to propose a dividend payout of 0.20 euros per share to the shareholders' meeting. We have a good deal of important history behind us, and at the same time we are a startup established 180 years ago with almost 4,000 people. In our many years of history, we have experienced significant changes, hardships, success, and continuous rebirth, marked by a common factor, the ongoing desire to always look forward and take on new challenges. This is the guiding principles for the daily work of our people. It is to them and to you all who believe in Italgas that we direct our gratitude for our achievements. And it is in this term and in them and in you that we place our trust to tackle our new objectives. I would like to invite Mr. Paolo Gallo, CEO, to share with you the financial results for 2016. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Some of the items have already been illustrated by the chairman, or the most significant figures have already been illustrated by the chairman. I would like to focus on two things in particular. In 2016, we started a new regulatory year with a reduction of the WACC concerning distribution from 6.9% to 6.1%, and for measurement from 7.2% to 6.6%. And these values, these figures will be reviewed at the end of 2018, and will be reviewed based on a mathematical principle that is in a very clear way. The second point I would like to highlight concerns tender bids. One of the pillars of Italgas' strategy is to participate in tender bids, to consolidate distributors working on the gas market through tender bids. Most unfortunately, the time frame is not the one we expected. The positive side is that finally in January the first bid offer was submitted, and we hope this is a positive beginning. So tender bids will be hopefully further developed based on a schedule that is not the same as the ministry proposed, but it is in line with the industrial plan we submitted before November 7th, when we illustrated Italgas this industrial plan for the next 5 years. Just a few comments. What you're going to see are the consolidated results, so you will understand exactly what happened in 2016, because Italgas SPA, which was established last June, and only starting from November 7th, Italgas Reti became 100% Italgas SPA. In the last two slides, I would also show you what we're going to approve during this meeting. Consolidated results. In order to better understand how these results were generated, we have two different slides. In this slide, in gray and in blue, we indicated the perimeter of results we're going to comment. So, the gas distribution perimeter, starting from January 1st through December 31st, 2016. And it consolidates Toscana Energia, Metano Sant'Angelo, and Umbria Distribuzione. The second perimeter we're going to analyze refers to the distribution perimeter which we added Italgas SPA holding to. From June 1st, but started operating only in November, on November 7th. Let's see the financial results of this last perimeter. These results are in line with what we anticipated in the Capital Market Day a few weeks before the spin-off. As we anticipated, EBITDA would, on revenues would have been 65%, an EBITDA margin, and an EBIT RAB margin, representing the profitability of the company on regulated assets, that is over 6.3%. As you probably remember, the WACC is 6.1% for the network and 6.6% for SNAM meters. So we are we have exactly the profitability we expected, profitability that it is over 6%. On the right-hand side, you see figures concerning cash flow, approximately 500 million euros operating cash flow. These 500 millions are used to pay for investment allocated in 2016 and also to pay, based on the approval of the General Meeting, the dividends that will be accrued in 2017 based on the 2016 results. The consolidated financial debt was slightly above 3.6 million. There was an improvement compared to the guidance we indicated during the Capital Market Day. Let's now examine, albeit not in details, the most important figures and the comparison with 2015. We will refer only to the gas distribution perimeter. So the number one perimeter we indicated without Italgas holding, and we will see that the difference is a minor one. So this is an homogeneous comparison. What do we see? We see that in 2016, revenues declined as compared to 2015, as expected. It was a minor drop because of two different situations. On the one hand, the WACC declined from 6.6 to 6.1. And also, this applies to metering as well. We had important contributions by the authority because we replaced the traditional meters with smart meters. This is the impact we had on total revenues. Then we had an increase in operating costs due to three elements: an increase in labor costs, an increase in maintenance costs, and also an allocation of a fund for energy compliance rules. During 2017 and early 2016 and early 2017, the performance of the market was oriented towards speculation. Since we have no speculation activity on these stocks, we had to allocate a fund to face an increase in costs because we buy these stocks. So, an increase in the price of energy efficiency stocks. And as a consequence, there was an increase in operating costs. But as I said, we got government contributions for the replacement of traditional meterings. We replaced metering significantly in 2016. We will continue this replacement activity throughout 2017 in line with the regulations by the authority. So we will also we have also replaced meters in advance with smart meters. And then we have the net financial charges. There is a significant difference due to 119 million of market to market. So what we paid to end loans in place, and also to end the program concerning the issuing of bonds. That was very successful in terms of financial costs, but to do so, because of a spin-off, we had to conclude any loan agreement that was in place at the moment. These are the major differences explaining the performance of the gas distribution financial statement as compared to 2015.
Moving on, we see another chart that basically repeats what I said earlier. Here you see the trend of EBITDA versus 2015, and you see some of the main items that impacted on the EBITDA trend. Just to comment on these, versus 2015, well, in 2015, 40 million euros were allocated in a gas provision, and this was a so-called non-recurrent item, a one-off item, and this leads us to the so-called EBITDA adjusted. Then, so a drop in revenues by 18 million, and operating costs up at 76 million, and then we have the EBITDA adjusted 2016. Additionally, during 2016, we allocated 15 million to provision for voluntary redundancy incentives that we're going to pay out in 2018. Moving on, as I said earlier, we analyzed the main deviations, the main differences between 2016 and 2015 in the distribution perimeter. In reality, starting from June the 1st and from an operational viewpoint from November the 7th, we have the Italgas SPA, former Italgas holding, that had some costs. As you can see, deviations are really neglectable. There is an element that our chairman highlighted when reading the letter to the shareholders. During 2016, as you can see, we have operating costs up 10 million. Of these 10 million, 8 are non-recurring costs due to the demerger. As you know, and as announced to the market, since 2017, the company is committed to completely reabsorbing additional costs that will occur in 2017 due to the demerger. When mergers occur, you normally achieve cost synergies. We had a demerger, and for this reason, we have costs dis-synergies. So the whole management is committed to completely reabsorbing these additional costs during 2017. Another difference is the higher negative interest rate, because the debt of Italgas SPA is higher than the debt for the distribution perimeter. And these are the two main differences we see when we analyze the results of 2016 for the distribution perimeter and the 2016 results for the overall perimeter. A quick overview of the development of the net profit in 2016. Now we start off with the EBIT adjusted pro forma 2016. We deduct 48 million net financial charges. Out of these 48 millions, 8 millions are attributable to non-cash items. That is, they are due to the accretion discount, to the environmental charges and severance pays for headcounts. Then we have 20 millions, which are shareholdings profits. In this case, these pertain to companies in which we have a holding below 50%. Then we have taxes, and then, as you can see, we have a significant number of special items. The main item is 119 million. As we said, this is the mark-to-market cost that we paid for early termination of loans. Moving on. And so we conclude our presentation with consolidated debt. We started as of the end of 2015 with a distribution perimeter with a 1.8 billion euro debt in terms of net financial position. Then, of course, cash flow was generated, as we saw before, during 2016. In 2016, before the demerger, a dividend was paid for 275 million to the only shareholder then, Snam. 1.5 million euros is what Italgas SPA paid to Snam to obtain the whole ownership of the Italgas network. And then we have the special items, as we mentioned. So finally, we have a 3.6 billion euro consolidated debt. Now, a quick overview, just a couple of slides about the financial statements that we're going to approve. So we have just outlined the consolidated financial statements, but we're going to approve the Italgas financial statements. They are very simple. So you see Italgas Reti resolved the payment of a dividend, 190 million euros, as you can see, net proceeds on shareholdings. And this is the only significant proceeds that we had. So from November the 7th to December the 31st. And then, of course, we have other operational items that we have already described within the consolidated financial statements. Net profit after taxes, 177 million euros. And these are the financial statements that you are asked to approve. In terms of balance sheet, here you see the net invested capital, the net financial indebtedness, 2 billion euros for Italgas S.p.A., and the rest is for Italgas Reti. So a very simple balance sheet, also considering the short lifespan of Italgas S.p.A. during 2016. This is it as far as I'm concerned. So, for the presentation of the financial statements, now I would like to briefly outline the development of the share price, because I think you are all interested in it. So, starting from the listing until today. As you can see, so the share has had a quite peculiar development. We have identified 4 main periods. The period immediately after the demerger, so the coming back to the stock exchange, that shows a significant drop in the share price, accompanied by likewise a significant volume exchange. Then we have the period starting at the end of November, early December, where the share price started to recover again. And the most important recovery occurred when we issued the 2 bond tranches in the beginning of January. I'm saying so because some shareholders, after the elections of President Trump that led to an increase in interest rates, highlighted that as we have 2.3 billion euros, the so-called bridge to bond, with a maximum duration of 24 months, and that had to be paid and refunded with the bond issuance, well, shareholders said we were not able to reissue the bonds at the expected costs, but we actually proved the contrary. I would like to remind you that when we issued the first tranche, we had requests for 4.5 billion euros, and this testifies that institutional shareholders really evaluated and appreciated our company. And from that time onwards, the share price started to increase again. So then the bridge to bond ended with the issue of the last 650 million euros, and we had the presentation of the financial statements data. Figures were better than shareholders' expectations, and this enhanced the value of the share price. 4.27 is the record, the all-time high of the share price that we reached. A small comparison with the peers, both in Italy and Europe-wide. Here you see the trend between November the 7th and April the 24th. Of course, we are lagging behind compared to the peers, but this is because we suffered from a turbulent initial phase. But if we consider the period from January the 1st, since January the 1st, you see that our share comes after Hera, so much better than FTSE MIB, and much better than the utilities sector and all the other peers. Finally, a couple of slides on sustainability. Not only did we publish the financial statements 2016, but also the sustainability report 2016, and we did so by complying with the G4 sustainability reporting guidelines. We did so by analyzing all the relevant topics for all the corporate stakeholders, and we identified the material topics within those relevant bunch of topics. You can see the document in your folder. So how did we draft the sustainability report? We drafted a matrix. On the one axis, we have the importance for the company. On the other axis, the importance for the stakeholders. So we identified relevant topics, and within the relevant topics, we identified material topics that are relevant not only for the share and stakeholders, but also for the company. And we described what we have done in the past years. Just to mention an example, in terms of energy consumptions, and in this respect, we are going to commit ourselves even further in the years ahead in order to reverse the trend, which doesn't depend from us, but we will commit to reversing this trend whenever possible. So if we can improve the quality of service, if we can implement new technologies, we reduced natural gas emissions, for example, by replacing the old iron pipelines with new PE pipelines. We have reduced natural gas emissions. As you see, emissions have dropped almost 50% in a matter of 2 years. Within the sustainability report, you will see these indicators, and the management is fully committed to showing a positive trend throughout all these environmental parameters. Thank you. I would like to thank the CEO and now Giampiero Balducci, the chairman of the Board of Statutory Auditors, and Ernst & Young will read out the conclusions included in the report of the Board of Statutory Auditors. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to confirm that our report on the financial statements was filed and was submitted to the company and to the relevant entities compliant with the law. We saw the report by the advisory firm, and the conclusions of it will be read out soon. Well, the advisory company has expressed a positive opinion on the financial statements. So I would like to read out the conclusions included in our report that you can find in your folder. So, while expressing a positive opinion based on the advisory activity performed, the Board of Statutory Auditors maintains that the financial statements 2016 should be approved by you, as well as the allocation of a dividend for €0.20 euro for each eligible share, as formulated by the Board of Auditors at the end of the note to the financial statements. So, in our opinion, the financial statements give a trustworthy and true representation of the financial and property situation of Italgas S.p.A. as of December the 31st, 2016, of the economic result and cash flow for the financial year closed on that date, in compliance with international financial reporting standards adopted by the European Union and in compliance with the rules issued according to Article 9 application of the legislative decree 28 February 2005. We performed all the procedures provided for in the revision principle number 720B so as to express a judgment on the consistency of the report on operations and of the information on the governance and the corporate governance and ownership structure as of Article 123 bis, paragraph 4 of Legislative Decree 5898, and the responsibility for it is of the directors of Italgas S.p.A. In our opinion, the report on operations and the information on corporate governance and ownership structure are consistent with the financial statements of Italgas S.p.A. as of December the 31st, 2016. Thank you very much. I would like to ask Notary Public Marchetti to read the draft resolutions. So as far as the financial statements are concerned, the proposal is a simple one. So you are asked to approve the financial statements as of 31st December 2016 with a profit of 177,130,292.44 euros. As for the profit, dear shareholders, the board proposes to approve the financial statements as of December 31st, 2016 that closes with a profit of 177,130,292.44 and to allocate the profit as follows. Legal reserve, 8,010,000 euros. To the shareholders as a dividend, 161,827,100.40 euros, meaning 0.20 euros per share to the shares that will be outstanding when the coupon will be is detached, and then so carry forward the residual amount of 7.2 million euros. The dividend will be paid out starting from 24th of May 2017, and the coupon will be detached as of the 22nd of May 2017, and record date the 23rd of May 2017. So if you agree, we can also describe the other items on the agenda so that we can open a debate for all the items on the agenda. So we discuss all the items of the agenda first, and then we will open up a debate. So if you want to take the floor, you will have the chance to do so at the end of the discussion. Item number 3. So this is our proposal. Item number 3, the termination by agreement of a new of the old law firm contract and appointment of a new law firm. So having acknowledged the explanatory report of the Board of Directors and having acknowledged the proposal to terminate the contract for Ernst & Young, and having acknowledged the termination by agreement, and having acknowledged the reasons for the termination by agreement, and having acknowledged the offer and the recent proposal by the Board of Statutory Auditors, and considering that if the General Meeting resolves the termination by agreement of the contract with the auditing company, and if the General Meeting resolves to appoint the auditing company as proposed by the Board of Statutory Auditors, the text of the resolution would be as follows: to approve, compliant with Legislative Decree number 39, to appoint Ernst & Young from 2016 to 2024, and a new auditing company will be appointed. Should the General Meeting not approve the new contract, so this resolution will be null and void. Point number 7, second, to assign, based on the proposal by the Board of Statutory Auditors, for the duration of 9 financial years, so from 2017 to 2025, to PricewaterhouseCoopers, based in Milan, via Monterosa 91. As well, it will be effective if the General Meeting confirms the termination of the agreement with Ernst & Young. So this is based on the proposal of the board. The consideration, the total annual consideration net of VAT, out-of-pocket expenses, will be equal to 190,000 euros per year, calculated based on an estimate of 3,160 working hours, divided among activities for bookkeeping, audit, drafting of the balance sheet and the consolidated financial statements, reporting cap package for CDP and CDP Reti, auditing for sustainability report, annual review for consolidated financial statements, and review of the adequacy of the internal control system connected to the preparation of the financial information. The last point is the usual mandate to the chairman of the board to execute the aforementioned proposals. This is item number 3. As for item number 4 on the agenda, this pertains to the long-term monetary incentive plan 2017-2019 relevant resolutions. So the information document, Long-Term Monetary Incentive Plan 2017-2019, was drafted based on Article 114 bis Legislative Decree 24 February 1998, etc. It was submitted, it was filed at Borsa Italiana and was published on the Internet's website on March the 28th, 2017, and the document was given to you upon entering the room. I would like Notary Public Marchetti to read out the draft resolution for item number 4 on the agenda. The resolution that is included in your folder is to approve, based on Article 114 bis of TUF, the long-term monetary incentive plan 2017-2019 within the terms and conditions described in the document attached to the explanatory report. To confer, to assign the chairman of the board and the board all the necessary powers to implement this long-term monetary incentive plan 2017, so with the necessary powers to assign the incentive in favor of the CEO, draft and approve the regulations, identify the beneficiaries based on the defined criteria, define any other terms and conditions, and provide the information to the market compliant with the law concerning the monetary plan. This is item number 4. Item number 5, the last but one, pertains to the remuneration policy as per Article 123 ter of Legislative Decree 24 February 1998. The report that was approved by the Board of Directors was also published on the Internet website and was given to you prior to entering the meeting room. I would like to read the letter to the stakeholders that was drafted by the Remuneration Committee, made up of Barbara Borra, the chairwoman Maurizio Tainelli, and Ms. Paola Maria Petrone.
Dear gentlemen, I'm very pleased to submit the remuneration report that for the first time has been published by Italgas and will be subject to the vote of the General Meeting. In the second half of 2016, following the appointment of the board and in view of the company being listed at the stock exchange, the Remuneration Committee worked extensively to submit a proposal to the board concerning the resolutions necessary to make the remuneration system in line with more operative and in line with the best national and international practices. It was possible to tackle all the issues concerning the establishment or the creation of the remuneration system of a listed company. And it was also possible to analyze recommendations concerning a lower level of compensation based on business results. This being said, the Remuneration Committee submitted a proposal to the board to resolve in terms of fixed remuneration to the chairman and the CEO, to the board members, and also submitted a proposal to adopt a variable compensation in the short and long term to be given to the CEO and to strategic executives. In 2017, the Compensation Committee will have to tackle issues concerning the application of variable compensation systems, bearing in mind expectations of stakeholders and also the recommendations emerging from those who analyzed and examined the compensation report. The Remuneration Committee has given all stakeholders and the General Meeting the report on the 2017 compensation. And hopefully this compensation system will generate value for the stakeholders, shareholders, and for the company itself. I would like to thank all the members of the Compensation Committee for their extensive work. I would like to invite Notaio Marchetti to explain how the resolutions are going to be submitted. The last item on the agenda is the appointment of an alternate auditor. Alternate auditor Marilena Cederna resigned last May, so you are invited to appoint a new alternate auditor based on Article number 135 of the Consolidated Finance Act. And the voting will be taken together with the approval of the financial statement. The General Assembly has to vote by majority. And the board will be represented based on the laws and the regulation in force in terms of gender balance. You are kindly requested also to submit possible female candidates to be appointed as alternate auditor. The CDP shareholder submitted an application for Mrs. Barbara Cavalieri, together with her resume. She is an excellent potential candidate and has all the requirements of professionalism and independence provided for by the laws in force. I think that I would like to know whether there are people with voting rights who would like to submit an additional name for the office of alternate auditor. So we have only one candidate, that is Barbara Cavalieri. The proposal was submitted by the shareholder CDP. You have the resume indicating all the jobs and the roles carried out by Barbara Cavalieri, so we are not going to read the resume. So the items on the agenda have been illustrated. I would like to know whether there is anyone from the audience who would like to say something or ask questions. Anyone would like to say something concerning the 6 items on the agenda? The chart that the CEO illustrated is crystal clear. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Mr. Taka, a small investor. I have a simple question. What is the market value, the current market value of the Italgas? So the rectification factor, not 82. Because of this value, we have a quite high listing value. But within 10-12 days, this value dropped from 4 to 3.2. There was a significant recovery, and the current value is 4.15, 4.20. But the question is, do I have to worry? The market value of the company is 3.2 per share. Was the company overrated after the spin-off? And I would like to have an answer, because otherwise I don't know whether to sell the share or not. Do I have to expect the share to drop below 4? So I might buy additional shares. Maybe at 3.4, 3.5. So there are differences in terms of share price that occurred in a quite short time span. This is why I'm worried about the future. Even though I saw that we have a positive financial statement results, but financial statement results are one thing, and the share price performance is a totally different thing, because it can be impacted by the activity of funds or other operators we are not aware of. Thank you. No other questions from the floor? Otherwise, I would like to invite the CEO to answer. Someone else? Good morning. I'm Marco Bava. I prepared a few written questions that I'm going to read. I have a website, www.marcobava.it. The only thing I would like to say is that it would have been more appropriate for transparency reasons to include this in the folder handed out to shareholders. I'm here to welcome Italgas. I'm very happy that Italgas is listed again at the stock exchange. I'm very sorry you are no longer based in Turin. I would like to know something more about your strategy going forward, primarily concerning provisions and the gas network. In some areas, like Turin, for instance, there are less incentives for gas supply. Well, there is a good network as far as the heating system is concerned, but I would like to know how this gas network is managed and if you have results referring to the Turin area specifically. I would also like to understand better. Since we are talking about remote heating, I would like to know what is the mission of the company concerning the use of our network, distribution network. Undoubtedly, individual networks have been negatively impacted by two elements: maintenance and pollution policies. I think that probably remote heating was a sort of political issues put forward by those who got investments. I think that with this system we are less independent, and also heaters will be negatively impacted because maintenance won't be carried out so often as it used to be. So I would like to know, what do you think about the development of this remote heating network? I would like also to know something more about how much you intended to invest in this specific sector. In terms of gas supply, I think that our chairman can provide us a long-term outlook. With different types of supplies, the dependence on one single supplier does no longer exist. I would like to know whether we can say that we are in a safe zone. And we have a network, we have products, we have a service. So I would like to know whether you think it is necessary to take additional steps to improve the situation, and if so, what steps? Any other question or remark? Otherwise, I'll give the floor to the CEO. I would like to answer the first question. May I see the performance of the slide concerning the performance of the share? Yes, okay, here it is. It was in the financial statement presentation. Yes, I would like to answer your question concerning the performance of our share. After the spin-off on November 7th, we had to take into account two elements. One was quite expected, the other was unexpected. The first element is the following. On November 7, SNAM shareholders found one Italgas share out of 5 Snam shares. And for the Italgas share, there was no possible comparison because Italgas was listed for the first time. Some of them decided to invest more on Snam as compared to Italgas, and others decided to keep both shares. So there was quite a change in terms of the shareholder structure after November 7th. All the more so that, as you can see from this chart, in the first 2 weeks, high volumes were traded. We saw sales and purchases for about 15 million shares. That is 2% of the equity in just one day. And then there was an unexpected event that had an impact on the performance of the shares during the first 2 weeks. This event was Trump's election to president. As I mentioned earlier, because of the Trump election, we expected an increase in interest rates, which had a negative impact on the performance of the share prices of the regulated, so-called regulated companies. This to explain what happened in the first weeks of listing. What do we expect looking forward? Of course, we cannot provide a recommendation to buy or sell. But the management does believe in the company, and shortly, that is, on May 4th, we will have a board meeting to approve the quarterly financial statement. You will understand then what the impact of this structural change in the company has on the first quarter results. And in early May, we will also submit the new industrial plan. Why do we have an industrial plan again? We submitted the first one last November. Well, for 2 reasons. We have to see what will be the outcome of the tender bids, and we also have to consider a longer period for the plan. A 7-year period, 2017-2023, to also see the impact of the outcomes of the tender bids. I do believe in this company. I think the company has a lot of potential. So it is up to the shareholders to decide whether to buy or sell. As I said, I believe in the company. I think that the listing was not over or underrated. I think there was a very good rating of the company, and the last months have shown that the market does believe also in Italgas. From January to date, there has been an outperformance of the share. I hope I have answered your question satisfactorily. As far as the questions by Mr. Barra are concerned, I can say that we have an industrial plan concerning our investment on across Italy. Turin is undoubtedly an important area for Italgas. Our headquarters are there. Turin has a very peculiar situation in terms of remote heating, but I'll go back to it later. We have a plan that considers the existing perimeters. So without considering tender bids, we will invest 2 billion euros from now to 2020. There are three components in our investment plan. We will focus on the numbers figures we're all familiar with. Out of these 2 billion euros, in the next few years, we will invest 800 million to replace meters, so that between now and 2020, we will only have smart meters. This will generate benefits to the company shareholders because, as you saw earlier, the WACC recognized by the authority is higher for metering because the authority set a target that is to replace meters as fast as possible. So this replacement will have a positive impact for the system as a whole. Enel started replacing old meters 20 years ago. There were doubts back then, but the results are evident. So digital metering is key. Therefore, we will install only smart meters. So in the future, we will see an increasing number of digital meters. And we will install smart meters to measure gas consumption in real time. This will have a positive impact on the system, on the final users primarily. We will do so in the best way possible. This is why the authority foresaw a higher WACC as compared to other investment. So our 2 billion investment, 800,000 will be allocated for smart meters. The remaining 1.2 million will be allocated to extend, to widen the supply gas distribution network in the areas we serve, and we also completing in southern Italy, in Calabria and Sicily and Campania. We are serving areas that are uncovered at the moment. They have no gas supply at the moment. So we have developed a shared intervention plan together with the government and the relevant ministry that gave us significant funds to supply uncovered areas. And then there is also the widening of the existing distribution network. The last part of the investment will be allocated on the renewal of the network. We are replacing all the cast iron pipes. We have already seen the effect when we talked about the sustainability report. So these replacements will reduce gas emissions, and we will transform our network into a cutting-edge, smart distribution network that will meet the requirements of all customers, primarily households, in the best possible way. As far as remote heating is concerned, I don't think that competition is so tough. As you mentioned, remote heating is a reality reality, not only in Turin, but also in other Italian areas. What we see now, what we feel, is that methane, natural gas, is the resource whereby in the next few years we will move away from fossil fuel and we will use renewable energy. So the use of natural gas will reduce CO2 emissions that are so worrying to all of us. This is why we had to develop our network further so that everyone will have access to natural gas. So this is included in our industrial plan. One of the targets we have is to change GPL networks in natural gas networks, LPG, networks in natural gas networks, because we can connect to the national natural gas distribution network. So our aim, our goal is to strengthen, as you will see in the new business plan, to strengthen our distribution network. Tender bids will accelerate the development even further through consolidation, through tender bids for concessions. Our quality, safety, and efficiency and technology standards will be absolutely excellent. So the investment, 2 billion investment, will increase in not only for the acquisition but also for technology upgrading of the networks we will manage.
As far as gas is concerned, a couple of points. First, so we are not lacking gas, so we have no problems in terms of sourcing, and there is no problem about scarce resources. Secondly, Italy has a diversification strategy for sourcing, and it's a well-defined strategy. Third, this strategy has been implemented through a series of investments in infrastructures. You may say, well, these infrastructures must then be built and maintained. And we all know that these leads to other macro issues like the difficulty of building infrastructures in our country. However, infrastructures are important to protect our country from any problems that may arise from the dependence on one single source. So, considering the works being conducted right now, we are absolutely in favor of further pursuing this strategy. I don't know if you have any further remarks. Well, you shouldn't be allowed, but if you have just a couple of words to say, you may. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, this should not be considered as a precedent. No. Mr. Chairman, first of all, I would like to apologize for my questions if you may have considered them as provocative, but these are standard questions. I thought you mentioned diversification. Well, for example, AV and home technologies. I thought you wanted to explore these new innovative technologies like hydrogen, for example. Well, this is not just a couple of words, but, you have to try and be brief. So please ask your question. All right. But, I have described a relatively innovative industrial plan, and I would like it to be transcribed into the minutes, because if you ever implement such an innovative plan, I'm the author of it. I don't think we need any such plan. The industrial plan will be presented by the end of May, and you will have the chance of evaluating and commenting on it. Thank you very much. Now, Notary Public. All right, so we can start with the voting session now. Well, I made a mistake. I allowed him to speak, although he was not. Well, that's true. That's true. Italgas has decreased in terms of prices, but this does not apply to Snam. And this means that Italian people are afraid of new companies and are afraid of equity. Investments in equity in shares are still limited today compared to other European and non-European countries. I'm sorry. Well, that's it. I'm sorry. For clarity's sake, Engineer Gallo will explain that your interpretation is totally wrong. Your interpretation is totally wrong, and Mr. Gallo is going to explain it to you from a mathematical viewpoint.
Manteniamo questa slide per i prossimi 10 giorni.
Okay, let's keep this slide for the next 10 days, I think. So here you see, starting from November the 7th to the 24th of April, so for the whole period, Italgas has had an increase by 7.5, Snam 5.3. So we started at the same time, but we are ahead of Snam. So that's my interpretation, and this is the right interpretation. I think shareholders preferred our share, and this is since November the 7th, since the beginning. If you look at the performance from January 1st to April 24, well, this trend is even clearer. Well, that's clear. As of today, I agree with you. I'm sorry. Well, this is not the way you analyze markets. Because if you take the starting point, also worst companies improve. But that's not the right interpretation. All right. Notary Public. Yes, let me quickly recap and let me explain again how to vote.
Vi chiediamo soltanto alcuni secondi di attenzione per guidarvi all'utilizzo del sistema di radiovotazione. Questo è lo strumento che oggi utilizzerete per esprimere la vostra preferenza. Il vostro radiocomando è stato personalizzato tramite una chip card che non deve mai essere estratta. Premendo il tasto Info può essere visualizzato il numero di azioni e quindi di voti associati al vostro radiocomando. All'apertura della votazione, il display evidenzierà il numero della votazione stessa e il messaggio Votazione aperta. Da questo momento in poi potrete esprimere la vostra preferenza premendo uno dei 3 tasti superiori. Potete modificare la scelta appena effettuata premendo un tasto differente. Infatti, soltanto dopo aver confermato con il tasto OK, il vostro voto verrà registrato in maniera definitiva e sul display del radiocomando apparirà il messaggio Voto registrato. Quando verrà chiusa la fase di votazione, tutte le preferenze raccolte verranno elaborate e il risultato sarà calcolato automaticamente. Vi ringraziamo per la vostra attenzione. Per ulteriori informazioni potete rivolgervi al personale presente in sala.
Bene, allora apriamo la votazione sul primo punto.
Let's open the voting session on the first item on the agenda, i.e. financial statements. Shareholders are kindly asked not to go out of the room if you are not entitled to vote. The shareholders are kindly invited to inform us. So 581 million people votes present. Now the voting session is open on the first item on the agenda. Please.
Bene.
Good. In favor, 581,063,000 shares, 99.5%. Against, 0.04, and 0.01% abstentions. So, Mr. Chairman, the proposal is approved. And now item number 2, the allocation of profit. The communications are as before. The number of attendees are the same. The shareholders are invited to vote on the allocation of profit.
Risulta ancora.
One shareholder has to vote, still has to vote. You have to press OK at the end of the voting. Good. So in favor, 581,270,702 votes, 99.99% in favor. Abstention, 54,691 shares, 0.01%. The proposal is approved. Now, item number 3, which is the termination by agreement of the appointment of the current external auditors and appointment of a new firm. As stated before, the presence hasn't changed. And now the shareholders are invited to vote on this item. The proposal was approved with 578,000, so 99.57%, 1.7 million votes against, and 0.14% abstained. Now, item number 4, which is the Long-Term Monetary Incentive Plan 2017-2019. So attendees are the same. The shareholders are invited to vote on item number 4.
Hanno votato a favore.
In favor, 433,036,000, that is 91.69%. Against, 48 million votes, equal to 8.29%. Abstentions, 71,000, 0.01%. Point number 5, item number 5, which has now been voted. Remuneration policy pursuant to Article 123 ter. The voting session is open on item number 5 of the agenda.
Il voto favorevole.
In favor, 5,033,000 votes, equal to 91.76%. Against, 47 million votes, 8.10%. Abstentions, 800,000, 0.14%. The last voting session is about the alternate auditor. The proposal was formulated by CDP, and so the voting session is now open.
L'Assemblea ha votato.
So the meeting voted in favor, 468 million votes, equal to 99.54%, 2.6 million votes against, equal to 0.35%, and 661,000 votes abstained, 0.11%. The voting, Mr. Session, is over. All the resolutions have been approved, so we can now close the meeting. We close the ordinary general meeting. It is 11:40 a.m. However, just a couple of minutes, if you have patience, a little bit of patience, the CEO would like to talk about the 180th anniversary of Italgas. Could you please upload the presentation? Good. As you may know, and for those who don't know it, please listen to me. On September the 10th, Italgas will celebrate its 180th anniversary. It's a one-of-a-kind event. And I would like to go back to some of the main highlights of the company, and I will show you a video for the 180th anniversary showing the activities that are foreseen to celebrate this great anniversary. So the company was set up in 1837 in Turin, where Italy was still divided into different kingdoms. There was the Kingdom of Sardinia, and the company was set up to start lighting the city of Turin by using gas. It was listed in 1851 in the Turin Stock Exchange, and then went through a series of mergers with other companies. And then finally, in 1900, the company was listed at the Milan Stock Exchange. Afterwards, after the Second World War, it became the main source of gas supply for Italy. And in Lodi, the first city network for natural gas supply was built in 1950. In 1967, Eni bought the majority share package of Italgas, and since 1970, Italgas became one of the leading suppliers of natural gas in Italy, and well, it is still today. As you see, the market share data, well, the company is still one of the leading suppliers and will be a leading supplier in the years ahead as well. In 2003, a PTO, public tender offer, was launched on the floating capital of Italgas, and the company was no longer listed. In 2009, Snam took over Eni, from Eni, Italgas. In 2016, Italgas demerges from Snam and is listed at the stock exchange again. So, what are we going to do to celebrate these 180 years? You may remember that 30 years ago, a book was written on the 150th anniversary of Italgas by Valerio Castronuovo. Luckily enough, Valerio Castronuovo is still alive, and we're very happy because he is a really extraordinary person, and he's writing our book for the 180th anniversary. We're going to present this book on September the 12th. It's going to be a great book that covers the whole history of Italgas, intertwined with the whole development of Italy. And we're also going to organize a series of events to celebrate this extraordinary anniversary. And these events will take place in our main cities, Turin, Milan, Rome, and Naples. And we will organize these events in the main railway stations of these cities so that we can bring these messages across and so that we can remind as many people as possible about Italgas. Major events will take place in Piazza San Carlo in Turin, for example, thanks to the municipality of Turin that are ready to host these events and to celebrate our birthday. And of course, a full communication campaign to advertise the role of Italgas in the past, in the present, and in the future. Well, another important element is our museum in Turin, which is open to everybody and to you as shareholders as well. In the museum, you can see things that are no longer available. For example, iron that worked with gas. Well, this is absolutely exceptional, but you will be able to see many other extraordinary things. If you want to visit it, well, you will be more than welcome. 180 years of history, both for the company and for Italy as a whole. And we also have an archive, a historical archive that we are restructuring, and there are really great documents that are shown in the archive. And for the 180th anniversary, we have shot an institutional video that you will see soon, and you will also see in railway stations and the big screens. So all Italians and non-Italians will be able to see the video.
Italgas è il più importante operatore in Italia nel settore della distribuzione del gas naturale. Lo è da 180 anni, da quando il gas illuminò le città, da quando portò nelle case degli italiani il calore. 180 anni di esperienza, sempre al servizio del paese e delle famiglie italiane. Un'azienda all'avanguardia ieri, quando ha contribuito a unire l'Italia e a farla crescere puntando al progresso e allo sviluppo. E oggi, quando mette al centro del suo impegno l'alta qualità del servizio, il presidio della sicurezza, l'efficienza, la valorizzazione delle persone e l'impegno continuo verso nuovi investimenti. Un'azienda fortemente radicata sul territorio. 7.400.000 contatori in Italia vogliono dire una rete capillare di distribuzione. Vogliono dire che Italgas è vicina, presente, accanto alle comunità e a ogni singolo cliente. Un'azienda attenta all'innovazione e allo sviluppo tecnologico per garantire elevati standard di servizio, per una crescita sostenibile a tutela dell'ambiente, per migliorare la sicurezza degli impianti, per aumentare l'efficienza complessiva a favore dei territori e delle persone. La distribuzione del gas, una grande storia nata 180 anni fa che vive nella contemporaneità per continuare a generare valore. Italgas, un simbolo del nostro paese.
Grazie a tutti.
Thank you. There is a lunch buffet downstairs. Thank you very much. It's a nice day today. Thank you.